So there's a lot of uncertainty. But if we were to win, we don't really know how much we'd win. I do think we would certainly be able to fund all of our immediate needs. The master plan in our jurisdiction calls for roughly $9 billion in spending. In our wildest dreams, we do not believe we will ever win $9 billion. Of all the areas of the state that have been damaged by the oil and gas industry, ours is the least damaged. But we certainly would win enough money to do substantial things. And whether it's river diversions, which are controversial in themselves, but ways of building land in particularly strategic areas to protect densely populated regions like ours, or let's say the New Orleans East Land Bridge, which extends out into the middle of the lake or past the middle of the lake. If that were to disappear, then you would get the entire ocean just pouring into the Gulf of Mexico. And we did a study that suggested that would cost $1.2 billion to protect that land bridge. There's actually one of our board members, the same guy who did the surge modeler, think there's probably a better and much cheaper way to address that problem than the recommendation of our consultant. But that's his thinking. We haven't really engineered the solution. It's still going to be expensive, even if it's not $1.2 billion. We would be able to do something like that. We would be able to armor the levees and so forth, a fight we're currently having with the Corps of Engineers. We would be able to raise levees when they subside, a fight we're currently having with the Corps of Engineers. The other thing is, I don't know if you read any of it. I guess in this audience, probably at least some of you have seen some of my op-eds. And one of the things that I talked about is whether you agree with the governor or not on most things. The reality is, and to give him credit, for the coast, he's been a pretty good governor. And what I would really like to see happen is that he becomes a great governor. That he could address this problem. Not just for us, but for the state. Because to our west, the damage from the industry is much greater than any damage we've got here. And if he could bring the industry to the table and sit them down in the legislature and say, you're paying something, let's work out a deal, he could really address the problem. He would go down as one of our greatest governors, whatever you think of everything else that he's done, and some people here I'm sure support it. The other things, some must, anyway. One. But I was serious about that. I'm dead serious about that. I would like the governor to address the problem. We are not the problem. The lawsuit is not the problem. The problem is the coast disappearing. So that was the last question, I guess. Thank you very much.
Well, we didn't want John to go away thinking that many of us do not appreciate him. Many of us have spent many years trying to fight an industry that doesn't seem to want to pay for the damage it's done. And many of us recognize, which John and the Levee Authority have recognized, that without the industry coming to the table, we cannot afford coastal restoration in the master plan. It's just not going to be a reality. BP is not going to put forward enough money, and in the current congressional climate and the financial climate of the United States, we are not going to get money through the federal government. I mean, you may not have heard it, but we keep hearing there's Katrina and Louisiana fatigue in DC. So at some point, the industry,
forget about
Baton Rouge as
forget
well.
about
And so we really know that it took a lot of courage to do what the Levee Authority has done. And so we want to thank the leadership, which is John and Tim Duty. Tim could not be here tonight. And so we wanted to give you a little thank you from us at the Gulf Restoration Network for all that you have done for Louisiana.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Nice saying.
I do want to say one other thing, that, you know, it puzzles me. I mean, a lot of things puzzle me about what's been going on since we filed the lawsuit. But we have the most anti-tax governor in the United States. He vetoed the renewal of a cigarette tax, which even this state's legislature overrode that veto. And yet, he wants taxpayers to pay for the damages which have been inflicted by the most profitable industry in the world. I don't get how someone against taxes wants taxpayers to pick up the tab for someone else's damage. The line that I know Sandy Rosenthal has been developing, fix what you broke. I mean, that's not the exact quote, but that's fairly close. I'm the first person to say, just like Garrett says he's the first person to say there's liability there, I am the first person to say there are multiple causes. I know that. I have written about that ad nauseum for the last 8 years. The levies certainly are a cause, without doubt. So is the oil and gas industry. We've never asked them, nor do we expect them, to fix all of the problem. We only want them to address the part of the problem that they created. So, thanks again.
Thank you for that.
Thank you, everyone. John, that was amazing. I just wanted to, again, thank you for coming. Like John said, political change, GRN's work, advocacy isn't possible without supporters and members like you. So thank you, and have an excellent evening. We will have the silent auction open for another 10 minutes, so get your last bids in and a last drink to go. Thank you so much.